Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the sublime one, the worthy one, the fully enlightened one. Okay, dear friends in Dhamma, today I would delve into the life story of Arahant Sariputta, the wisest disciple of Gautama Buddha. We will explore his birthplace, family background, his closest companions, his encounter with Arahant Assaji, and also the Gautama Buddha, his ordination and his journey towards enlightenment. In this particular video, I would like to explore those topics. So let's see Arahant Sariputta's great artwork. This is the one of the greatest artwork of Arahant Sariputta, and it's created by Gayanchanakuidana. As I mentioned, today's topic is the great Arahant Sariputta. Arahant Sariputta was known as Gautama Buddha's wisest disciples. He held the important title of Dhammasenādhipati, which means commander-in-chief of Dhamma and master of wisdom. His talent for teaching was second only to the Buddha himself. Arahant Sariputta is famous for his role in understanding and organizing the Buddha's advanced Abhidharma teachings, which later became the third part of the Tripitaka. The Buddhist scriptures, in simple terms, he was incredibly wise and exceptional teacher and played a crucial role in preserving and explaining the Buddha's teaching. In traditional Buddhist temples, it's common to encounter two monks' statues positioned alongside the Buddha. These statues are characterized by one shoulder covered by their robes. With their hands joined in a gesture of reverence, they symbolize the Buddha's two chief disciples, Arahant Sariputta and Arahant Moggallāna. Arahant Sariputta stands on the right side of the Buddha, while Arahant Moggallāna is on the left, just as they were in real life. In this picture, you can observe the Buddha seated between Arahant Sariputta and Arahant Moggallāna. So this is the ancient map of Magadha kingdom. Arahant Sariputta, originally known as Upatissa during his lay life, was born into the prominent family of a village called Upatissa in the Magadha kingdom. Today Magadha kingdom is Gaya district, state of Bihar in India. Around the 6th or 5th century BCE, today this village is recognized as part of the Gaya district in the state of Bihar, India. In Buddhist literature, his birthplace has been referred to as Nālaka. Numerous scholars and travelers have asserted that Arahant Sariputta's birthplace was near Nalanda University. Nalanda itself was founded during the era of Gupta Empire, which was an ancient Indian empire spanning from the early 4th century CE to the early 6th century CE. This is the current location of Nalanda University on a Google map. You can see the Sri Lanka on the bottom. According to Chinese Buddhist pilgrim monks Hunsang and Fahian, during the early 7th century in the Tang dynasty, they visited the city of Nalanda. They noted that within the Nalanda University complex, the largest stupa is located at the birthplace of Arahant Sariputta. This is that main stupa at Nalanda University complex. You can see how big it is. So this place considered as Arahant Sariputta's birthplace. So whenever we talk about Arahant Sariputta's parents, his father was Brahmin named Vanganta. And this is a picture of his father, so you can get an idea about his father. And his mother, Queen Rupasari, the name, later he came to be known as Sāriputta, following his mother's name, meaning the son. Son means Putta of Sāri. That's called Sāriputta. He got his mother's side name. And Upatissa was the eldest of 7 children with 3 younger brothers and 3 sisters, all of whom gained ordination as monks and nuns in the Buddha's dispensation. Later they became Arahant, got liberation. His 3 brothers were Chunda, Upasena and Revata, while his sisters were Chala, Upachala and Sisupachala. And Chunda became a Buddhist monk and reached the highest level of spiritual attainment. His eldest brother, this is the picture of his eldest brother Chunda, he ordained and later he attained to enlightenment. Known as Arahant Chunda, he served as Arahant Sariputta's attendant until Arahant Sariputta passed away at their family home. At another time, he had the privilege of being the Buddha's temporary attendant. When the Buddha fell ill, Chunda recited the Chunda Bojjhanga Sutta. Remarkably, after hearing this sutta, the Buddha's health improved and he got cured. This is a picture of this Arahant Chunda. This is a picture of Arahant Bhikkhu Upasena, and the Bhikkhu Arahant Upasena, who later adopted the name Vangantaputta in honor of his father, was also an Arahant monk. The Buddha recognized him as the foremost among the monks with pleasing deportment, Samantapasadika. Tragically, he met his end due to a snake bite. And this is the picture of the great Arahant Bhikkhu Khajiravaniya Revata. Their mother had arranged an early marriage for her youngest son. Revata, his name is Revata, as all his siblings had renounced the household lives and attained liberation. Her mother wanted to prevent him from becoming a monk. However, on the very day of his wedding, he successfully escaped and embraced the life of a monk. During a rainy season retreat in the forest, Revata, the Venerable Revata, achieved the status of an Arahant through meditation. The Buddha himself recognized him as the foremost among those who dwell in the forest, known as Aranyaka. This is a great picture of Arahant Khajiravaniya Revata. You can see the little forest on the bottom. That means he is a forest dweller and Aranyaka. So that's the meaning of that little forest. And this is another picture of the great Arahant Bhikkhuni Chala. Arahant Sariputta's 3 sisters named Chala, Upachala and Sisupachala, were initially married and each had a son. However, they eventually renounced their worldly lives and became Buddhist nuns, attained the esteemed status of Arahant. This is the picture of the great Arahant Bhikkhuni Upachala. So she also got liberation. And this is the other sister, the great Arahant Bhikkhuni Sisupachala. Arahant Sāriputta's mother Rupasari remained as a Brahmin devotee all her life and was very hostile to the Buddha's dispensation, as all her 7 children left the domestic life to become Buddhist monks and nuns. So this is the picture of the great Arahant Moggallāna, whose title was Dhamma Purohita, that means Dhamma advisor, and also he was foremost in psychic power, master of psychic power. The left-hand chief disciple of Gautama Buddha, and often referred to as the second chief disciple, had the role of Dhamma Purohita. It's translated as Dhamma advisor and master of psychic power. The Buddha's monastic community. The friendship of Kolita and Upatissa. Before his ordination as Buddhist, Upatissa and Kolita as an ascetic. Kolita and Upatissa, in their pursuit of spiritual knowledge, became disciples of a teacher named Sanjaya, who had earned the moniker Amaravikepikas for his tendency to evade giving direct answer to questions. They and their companion were ordained by Sanjaya as his disciples and spent several years wandering. While Kolita and Upatissa quickly grasped what Sanjaya had to offer, they found themselves unsatisfied because the teaching and practices they had learned didn't seem to offer a clear path to get rid of the suffering in their lives. When they approached Sanjaya with their concerns and inquired if he had more to teach, he regretfully informed them that he had shared all his knowledge and had nothing more to offer. The two ascetic friends decided to leave Sanjaya and search for the truth. They embarked on a journey across India in search of the teacher who could impart the correct teaching they sought, but to their disappointment found none. Eventually, they made the difficult decision to separate in their quest for spiritual truth, promising each other that if one were to discover it first, they would promptly inform the other. One day, Upatissa had the fortunate encounter with Arahant Sariputta while he was on his alms round for food in the city Rajagaha. Arahant Sariputta was among the 5 ascetic companions who had supported the ascetic Siddhartha Gautama during his 6-year quest for the path out of suffering. And all of them had attained arahantship after listening to the Buddha's first and second discourses. Upatissa was deeply struck by the tranquil and serene demeanor of Arahant Sariputta as he walked gracefully during the alms round. He couldn't help but think that this ascetic must either already be an arahant or on the verge of becoming one. However, he refrained from disturbing Arahant Sariputta during the alms round, showing respect for the sanctity of the moment. After Arahant Assaji had finished his meal and they had exchanged greeting, Upatissa finally spoke. Serene are your features, friend, pure and bright is your complexion. Under whom, friend, have you gone forth as an ascetic? Who is your teacher and whose doctrine do you profess? This is a picture that called Upatissa is questioning from Arahant Assaji. Arahant Assaji informed Upatissa that he was disciple of Gautama Buddha and that he could not describe the teaching in detail as he had not been a monk for long. But when Upatissa requested that the teaching be mentioned in brief, Arahant Assaji chanted the verse, stanza. Thus recite like that. Ye Dhamma hetu pabhava te sang hetu tathagatu ah te sanchayo nirodho evaṁ vādi mahasamano. Of things that proceed from a cause, their cause the Tathagata has told, and also their cessation. Thus teaches the great ascetic. On hearing the first two lines of the stanza, Upatissa became a stream enterer, Sotapanna. The first noble spiritual stage of the Buddhist path of liberation. Having obtained the detail of where the Buddha was residing, Upatissa went away to meet his friend Kolita to inform him of his discovery of the truth as per their agreement. When Upatissa repeated the above stanza to Kolita, he too became stream enterer after listening to the 4 lines and entered the path of liberation. Receiving ordination from the Buddha. Having heard about the Buddhist path of liberation and attained the first stage of the path, Kolita and Upatissa went to meet their previous teacher Sanjaya and tried unsuccessfully to encourage him to accompany them to visit the Buddha and learn the right doctrine. Sanjaya was so worried about them leaving him and going to be disciple of the Buddha that they offered them the position of co-teachers with him. But they rejected it. It is said that the vast majority of Sanjaya's other disciples, amounting to 250, also left with Kolita and Upatissa to become disciple of the Buddha. Having arrived at the Buddha's monastery, they requested the Buddha to grant them ordination and higher ordination as Buddhist monks, which was granted by the Buddha, and Upatissa was ordained as Bhikkhu Sāriputta, and Kolita ordained as Bhikkhu Moggallāna, Bhikkhu Moggallāna. After his ordination and following the Buddha's discovery, Bhikkhu Sāriputta did not immediately attain arahantship. Approximately 2 weeks after ordination, he was residing with the Buddha in a cave known as Sūkarakata on the Gijjakuta hill, Vulture Peak, in Rajagaha. This significant event is recorded in the Dīghanika Sutta of the Majjhima Nikāya, which comprises the Buddha's middle-length discourses. This is a picture of Vulture Peak, Gijjakuta. In the ancient time, you can see there's brick and little like a room, some foundation. That's where Buddha resided. His Buddha's kuti was their room. Sūkarakata cave in Gijjakuta Pabbata is mean Vulture Peak This picture of the Sukrakata cave where Arahant Sariputta attained enlightenment while the Buddha was delivering the Dhamma to Arahant Sariputta's nephew. This cave is situated on the Gijjakuta hill in Rajgir. Attainment as an Arahant. During this time, the Buddha was delivering a discourse centered on the understanding of feeling to wandering ascetic named Diganaka, who happened to be Bhikkhu Sāriputta's nephew. Bhikkhu Sāriputta, while fanning the Buddha from behind and attentively listening to the discourse, directed his concentration and reflection toward the discourse's content, specifically focusing on the nature of sensation called Vedana. It was during this contemplation the Bhikkhu Sāriputta attained the highest spiritual realization, becoming an Arahant. In two verses, 995 and 996, found in the Theravada, a collection of short poems by elder monks within the Khuddaka Nikaya, Arahant Sariputta himself is believed to have described his attainment of Arahantship as follows. It was to another that the Blessed One was teaching the Dhamma. To the Dhamma preaching, I listened intently for my own good, and not in vain, for freed from all defilements, I gained release. And dear friends, these are the sources you can learn more about Arahant Sariputta. So it's very important to know about this character as Buddhist disciples. It's encouraged you to practice on this path and is inspired ourselves. Okay, dear friends in Dhamma, I hope you have found both enjoyment and inspiration in the brief video recounting the life story of great Arahant Sariputta, renowned as the wisest disciple of Gautama Buddha. This is the first part of the life of Arahant Sariputta, and I will see you in next video about the appointment as chief disciple, his wisdom, friendship between Arahant Sariputta and Arahant Ananda, also with the great Arahant Moggallāna, the quality of gratitude, humility and forgiveness nature, and passing away I will discuss and present in my next video. So I conclude my sermon with this, and may all sentient beings experience well-being and happiness, and may the noble triple gem always bless you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.